Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're actually just going to have a little bit of conversation on a couple of different things. I'm going to see kind of what's going on in the world today with our buddy and buddy Tabby over here. So let's see if we can start it up. Hey Tabby, how you doing?
Hey there, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you? How's your day going so far?
I'm doing good. You're going to be my assistant on this stream today. You up for that?
Absolutely. I'm all in. That sounds like a lot of fun. Just let me know what you need and I'll do my best to help out.
All right. Well, do me a favor and give me some topics to talk about. I'm actually trying to figure that out. I have a couple of things, but I want to see what you come up with.
Sure, I can throw a few ideas your way. Maybe you can talk about some recent trends in technology or gaming, or even share a bit about your own creative process if that fits. And if you want something more casual, you could always chat about some interesting news stories or maybe some fun facts that people might not know. Let me know what you think.
Hmm. Let's talk about gaming. What do you have on that?
Oh, there's always so much happening in the gaming world. You could talk about some of the latest game releases or maybe highlight some indie games that deserve more attention. There's also a lot of buzz around virtual reality and how it's evolving, or you could chat about the impact of gaming on mental health and creativity. There's definitely a lot of cool angles you could explore.
Well, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out, and I know there's a lot of talk about that. Especially I believe their Mario Kart World game is their big headliner for that, and they have been doing some changes with that. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that sounds exciting. The Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely getting a lot of attention, and having a new Mario Kart game as a headliner is pretty huge. I think it's going to bring a lot of fun, new features, and probably some innovative gameplay mechanics. It's always cool to see how Nintendo evolve their franchises, so I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Okay. Well, is there anything to talk about is in regards to what do I say the Switch hardware? Let's talk about that. Any positives, negatives? It's been out for when did it release? Earlier this month, I think. So it's been out for about 22 days, right? So about 3 weeks.
So the Nintendo Switch 2 actually released on June 5th, so it's been out for about 3 weeks now. As for the hardware, there's definitely a lot of positives. It comes with a bigger 7.9-inch LCD screen that supports HDR at a 120 hertz refresh rate, so it definitely looks great and plays smoothly. It's got a more powerful processor too, which is awesome for performance. On the flip side, some folks have mentioned that the battery life isn't quite as long as they hoped, and the price point is a bit higher than the original Switch. Plus, some people prefer the OLED screen from the previous model, but
Yeah.
overall, I'm glad that went helpful. It's definitely an exciting time for Nintendo fans, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cool games and updates coming out for the new system. If there's anything else you want to dive into or chat about, just let me know.
Yeah. So what do we know about the hardware? You talked about the improvement on the chip. Can you tell me a little bit about the CPU?
The CPU in the Nintendo Switch 2 is pretty impressive. It features a custom Nvidia T239 processor, which is codenamed Drake. And the CPU itself is an octa-core ARM Cortex A78C, and it runs at about 998 megahertz when it's docked, and a little faster at 1101 megahertz in handheld mode. Plus, the GPU is Ampere based with a lot of power behind it.
Not
So
bad for 8 cores.
overall, it's a nice leap in performance compared to the original Switch.
Okay, cool. So what about Mario Kart World? Is there any AI technology being used in the Nintendo Switch 2 right now? So if someone wanted to buy the system, well, how would that work? Too much AI. Hold on. Hey Google, stop.
Yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 does incorporate some AI technology, specifically NVIDIA's DLSS, which stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling. This helps improve game performance and image quality, and the console also supports real-time ray tracing, which makes lighting and shadows look more realistic. As for getting your hands on one, it's available at major retailers like Best Buy and Walmart, though because it's so popular, it might be a little tricky to find in stock sometimes.
Okay, cool. So if we were to find one in stock, do you think it's a good idea to maybe hold a raffle?
A raffle could actually be a fun idea. It can definitely build some excitement and give more people a fair chance to get their hands on one, especially if it's in high demand. Plus, it adds a little element of fun and anticipation for everyone involved. So, yeah, that could be a cool way to go about it.
Okay, what platform should I use to do a raffle for the Nintendo Switch 2?
There are quite a few platforms you could use for a raffle, depending on how you want to run it. If you're looking for something simple and social, you could use platforms like Instagram or Twitter and just have people enter by following you or sharing a post. If you want something a bit more official and structured, you could use platforms like Rafflecopter or Gleam, which help you manage entries and choose a winner fairly. Really depends on what works best for your audience and how you want to run the raffle.
All right. So we're going to do a few more minutes here. We're going to try to keep this video at 10 minutes. But tell me about Mario Kart World. What's so good about that compared to the previous generations?
Mario Kart World brings some pretty exciting innovations to the series. One of the biggest changes is the open world design. So instead of just selecting tracks from a menu, you can actually drive between them, which adds a whole new layer of exploration and fun. The game also supports with 24 players in a race, which is double the limit of previous games, making for some really intense. It definitely sounds like they're taking Mario Kart to the next level with all these new features. It's going to be exciting to see how fans react and how those big races play out, especially with that open world element. Definitely a lot to look forward to with Mario Kart World.
Uh, well, keep explaining. I didn't want to interrupt. So besides doubling the number of players, what else was there?
No worries at all. So, in addition to the bigger player count and the open world design, Mario Kart World also introduces some new mechanics like customizable carts with more in-depth tuning options. There's also a new feature where you can collect and trade parts with other players, which adds a kind of social and strategic element to the
That's
game.
pretty cool.
Plus, they really improved the online multiplayer experience, making it smoother and more seamless. So, there's definitely a lot of fresh and exciting element in this new installment.
So I feel like they're trying to make it competitive, where they like for the competitive gaming scene. That's why they're maybe doing some of these features. It's online. You can have more players. You can trade parts. It's kind of like, to me, it feels like they're setting it up like competitive gaming, kind of how they do with Fortnite. Is that, you think that might be true?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. It definitely seems like they're trying to create a more competitive environment with all these new features. The larger player count and the online connectivity definitely encourage that competitive spirit, and the customization and trading aspects add a layer of strategy that can really appeal to competitive gamers. It does feel a bit like they're taking notes from, games like Fortnite and other esports titles. So that could definitely be part of their plan.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Well, we're gonna keep this conversation going. It's actually kind of fun. So thanks for helping out.
Absolutely. I'm having a blast too. I'm glad to be here to help out and chat. Just let me know what else you want to dive into, and we'll keep it rolling.
All right, cool. All right, guys, that was it. We just try to cover a little bit on the Switch since we didn't get around to it when it released. But if you kind of like this format, we're actually going to do a little more with our AI agent. I'm going to see if I can customize it, though. Make it a little bit more us. But anyway, like, follow, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.